All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your last video from Miss Moylan and Miss Dalton for the year, going over your study guide. As we go over the study guide, make sure that you're making corrections because obviously you're going to take this home and study it tonight. If you get a parent signature, it's worth 5 bonus points on your final exam. Starting with number 1. Which class do the scores have a range of 12? So the dots in the beginning and the end are showing the greatest and the least. So class 1, the greatest is 20 and the least is 8. When you find the difference, so 20 minus 8, you get a range of 12. So the correct answer would be class number 1. Number 2, anytime you're talking about parts and totals and percentages, you can always use that equation, part to total equals percent to 100. He answered 90%, so 90 out of 100, of the 30 questions, which means 30 is your total. How many questions did he answer correctly? You can cross multiply and divide here, or you can simplify and find your multiplier. So if I were to simplify 90 out of 100, I would get 9/10. And then I have a multiplier here that's times 3 times 3. So that would be 27 questions he answered correctly. Number 3, Lacey read that 4/5 of a town had been destroyed by flooding. What decimal is equivalent to 4/5? Remember, when you're changing a fraction to a decimal, you're trying to go to a place value. The tenths place is a place value. Then you can see that there's a multiplier here, and that would be 8/10. So it would be written 8/10. You could also say 80/100ths, that's the same thing. Number 4, Rhonda has a rectangular shaped garden with the following characteristics. The length is 10, the area is 50, and you are looking for the width. If you draw out the picture, it's easy to see 10 times what would equal 50? 10 times 5 feet would give you 50 square feet. Number 5. The table shows the age distribution of 250 kids. You're looking for the percentage, so part to total equals percent to 100. If we look at this, we've got a total of 250, and we have 145, that's 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and 13-year-olds added together, that are over 10. You're looking for the percentage. So you could simplify by dividing by 5, and when you do that, you would get 29/50 equals what out of 100? And then you've got an obvious multiplier here of times 2, and 29 times 2 is 58. So your answer would be 58% are above 10. Number 6, for the stem and leaf plot, first you need to write out your numbers. So the first one is 10, 13, 16. Then we have 21, 26, 27, and 28. And you are looking for the median. So that's the one in the middle. And 21 would be the number in the middle, so that's the median. Number 7, the table below shows a relationship between the number of movie tickets and the total cost. Independent quantities can exist without the other one. Dependent quantities have to rely on the other guy. So you can know the number of tickets, and that's the independent quality, because the cost depends on how many tickets you're going to get. So for the independent, that would be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the dependent would be 7, 14, 21, and 28. Number 8, Olivia is 5 1/4 feet tall. How tall is she in inches? So if 1 foot equals 12 inches, 5 feet would equal 12 times 5, so that's 60 inches. And then 1/4 of a foot, so if I took my foot, which is 12, and I cut it into 4 equal sections, how many would be in each section? 3, 6, 9, 12. So that would be 3 inches, and 60 plus 3 would be 63 inches. Number 9, find the area of the trapezoid using your formula. Anytime you're looking for area or perimeter or volume, you should be looking at that formula chart. Here's my equation. 1/2 times the bases. So base 1 is 9. Base 2 is 4. Parentheses say I have to add those first. 9 plus 4 is 13. Times the height, which is 6. So 13 times 6 is 78, and then times 1/2, or you could say times 0.5, which is the same as saying half of 78. 2 goes into 7 3 times with 1 left over. So your final answer would be 36 feet squared. Number 10, he got 17 out of 20, and you're looking for the percent. There's an obvious multiplier here. It would be times 5. So 17 times 5 would be 85 out of 100, so 85%. Number 11, 2 boxes, you're looking for the difference in volume. So the volume of this guy would be 4 times 2 is 8, times 1 is still 8. And the volume of this guy would be 5 times 4 is 20, and then 20 times 3 is 60. And then the difference would be 60 minus 8, which is 52. So your answer would be 52 feet cubed. Number 12, which inequality? So you first have to know where the inequality starts. It starts at -2. And then you have to know which direction it's going in. If it's going in this direction, it means x is going to be greater than -2. But since this is a closed circle, it could also be equal to -2. So your inequality is x is greater than or equal to -2. Number 13, he has completed 35 questions. So that's what he's done so far, which is equivalent to 70 out of 100. And you're trying to figure out how many questions are there total. So I can find an obvious divider here. And he's got 50 questions total. 14, she's selling candy bars to earn money. $2 per candy bar. So that's a clue when it says per, $2 per candy bar. And you are looking for how many more candy bars they need to sell to make $150. Well, this guy, letter A, says that would be less than 150. You don't want to add $2 plus the number of candy bars. You want to multiply. $2 times the candy bars has to be greater than $150 total. Number 15, you're comparing gallons to cups. 1 gallon is equal to 16 cups. So if you have 3.5 gallons, how many cups would that be? My proportion that I made down here is opposite of any of the choices. But if you look at the cross products, 16 and 3.5 are across from each other. You can kind of figure that out. So looking at A, that's the only one that has 16 and 3.5 diagonal. Number 16, we're comparing raisins to the total. There are 3 raisins out of the total pieces of trail mix, 3 out of 15. If there was 200 total, how many could we expect to be raisins? Again, I can simplify this ratio by dividing by 3 and get 1 out of 5. And then there's an obvious multiplier here. This would be times 40. Whatever you do to the bottom must do to the top. So this would be 40 raisins. Number 19. All angles in a triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. You know that 2 angles equal 64. So 64 and 64 would be 128. So the missing angle would be 52 degrees because we would subtract what we know from the total of 180. Number 18, she has 80% of the state capitals memorized for a geography bee, what fraction has she learned in lowest terms? So that means we're going to take this fraction and we're going to simplify it. I could divide by 10. I could divide by 20. If I divided by 20, 20 goes into 80 4 times and 20 goes into 100 5 times. So she would have memorized 4/5 of the state capitals. Number 19, we are looking for the mode. That's the one that repeats the most. First, we're going to put it in order from least to greatest. 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Looks like 2 is going to be our mode. And 2. Then we've only got 3 and 3. Oh, another 3. We've got 2 4s. We've got 2 5s. And then we have a 6 and a 9. So 2 is obviously the one that is repeating the most. So the correct answer would be letter A. And the last question, Ginger recorded her grades for each assignment in science. Which graphical display correctly represents Ginger's science grade? So you're going to have to go through and say, okay, the first number is 88. Which graph has 88? Okay, this graph has 88. This graph looks like it has 88. This also looks like it has an 88. Then we go to 100. Okay, looks like there is not a 100 because down here this would be a 10. So A cannot be the correct answer. This one has 100. This one also has 100. 65, looking for 65. They did not put a mark on 65 for letter B, so it cannot be letter B. And if you kept checking the rest, you would find that the correct answer was C. Now that we're done with our study guide, you need to make sure that you are studying that tonight and get your parent signature. Good luck on your final exams.